Nice to that you're here. Let me know if you don't hear me well. I mentioned before that I will recommend you, when you do your daily practice, if you do your daily practice, okay, let me start again. I recommend you to do a daily practice of meditation. And if you do that, you don't have to change your practice. You can just choose one method or one formula or one practice that you enjoy and keep that practice. But here, when we do these meditations on Wednesdays, I try to bring new colors or new possibilities to the meditation. So I keep changing the meditations. But for example, if I will ever, and I've been thinking to do, but if I will ever manage to do a daily meditation on Zoom, for example, I will not change the meditation every day. I will do always the same one. Maybe once in a while I will bring a new thing. But so when you do your practice at home on your own, just choose one that you find very connected to and just keep doing that one. Don't keep bringing new ideas, changing things. The depth of your understanding is going to keep changing, but the practice itself, keep it always the same, or at least for a while. So I was thinking that meditation now, maybe not here, not with me, but in general, meditation is very, very popular now in this time and age. There are so many courses of meditations and so many people meditating and there are so many possibilities with meditation. But usually the meditation, the way that is thought about, usually, or at least in the large majority, is as a way to calm the mind. And that's wonderful. It's very, very useful. And I will mention a bit later how important also for me it is, this calming the mind. But I was thinking a bit of the origins of meditation, how meditation started. And you could think of, and in the old caves, in the old, I don't know, India, some guru, some yogi in a cave meditating. Probably, I mean, I can imagine it, and maybe you can imagine it too. But imagine these yogis, they were not very spending too much time with worries or daily life. So for them, quieting the mind, it was not such an important thing like it will be for us. So they have a completely different aim. I mean, they will sit in the cave, or they will sit in the temple, or they will sit under the tree. But their aim was not really to calm their minds. Very probably there were people that their minds already, they were very, very calm. So I wouldn't think of meditation as something to calm the mind, but one word I like to use that meditation can be really made for is renunciation. It's a moment to renounce. And renunciation, for example, in India, has a very specific role. There is a style of life which is called sannyas. And in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, they speak a lot about this sannyas. Sannyas is a person that renounces life and dedicate his life only to the spiritual pursuit. And so the person that does that in India is a person that he has very specific rules about how to live. For example, the person is not supposed to spend more than 3 days in one place. He's not supposed to touch money ever. He's supposed to eat only what he receives. And if he doesn't receive, he's not going to eat. That's a true sannyas. And so many times renunciation is sought as somebody like a sannyas. But there is a very different way to think about renunciation, which is a more true way of renunciation, which is not an external renunciation. It's not that we let go of our responsibilities or we let go of our material, of the material gains that we have. It's not about that renunciation. But renunciation is like, it's an understanding that what we really want, what we really, really want in life, it cannot be, which is, what do we want in life? I mean, we want a sense of peace and contentment, a certain sense of satisfaction, of feeling that we are fully alive, connected. We are fully at peace with the moment, at peace with ourselves, at peace with the world. That's what everybody wants. And that thing that we want, it cannot be gotten through the world. It cannot be gotten outside in things. It cannot be gotten through relationships. It cannot be gotten through jobs. It cannot be gotten through fame. It cannot be gotten through money. It cannot be gotten through money. It cannot be gotten through youth. It cannot be gotten through beauty. It cannot be gotten through health. So that's the understanding. And when one understands that, then the renunciation happens. But the renunciation is a renunciation in the mind. I understand that those things are not going to give me what I really want. And so in my mind, I renounce those things. I can keep doing those things. I can keep having the responsibilities. Nothing has to change. Nothing has to change externally, but internally, it's a completely change of focus. Instead of focus your love, remember that love is attention. This is very important to understand. What we pay attention is what we deeply love, even if we don't think about it. Where you bring most of your attention, that's what you really love. And so the understanding is that the attention doesn't go so much outside, or my most, we can say my most refined attention doesn't go so much outside, but it turns around and it goes inside. Because I understand that what I'm looking for is not outside, but is in me, is inside. So that's one way to think about renunciation. Renunciation is in understanding. It's also good, just good to remember that also traditionally, now it's different, but traditionally, meditation was not something done, the first thing that you do. You want to do something different and you go and do meditation. Meditation was coming after a long process, a long work, a long inner work. And I don't know, for example, in the Ashtanga Yoga, which is the most popular, the most well-known meditation technique, which comes from the Yoga Sutras, in that the meditation starts, there are eight steps in this meditation system, there are 8 steps, and meditation was the 6th step. So you have all these steps to pass through. And the steps to pass through are actually a way to calm your mind. So there was all these things that one has to do before coming to meditation. So one was supposed to come to meditation with a quiet mind already. That's why it's interesting. Now we do meditation to calm the mind, but before you have to do all this spiritual work to calm the mind in order to come to meditation. And because the reason is because it is obvious, if one has eyes to see, it is obvious that the satisfaction cannot come from the world, because the world keeps changing. And so whatever you get in the world is going to change. So you cannot feel at peace with what is changing, because it's always changing, it's always changing. But to see that, I mean, it's obvious. If one has eyes to see, it's obvious. But the reason why we don't see it is because our minds is so agitated that we are not able to really, really deeply look at life. If we can really look at life, we can see all these amazing beauties, all these wonders that life can offer, but the satisfaction and completion that we look for, it cannot be found there. There are many wonders, many wonderful things, but not satisfaction and completion. And that's something that is obvious if one has eyes to see. And eyes to see means a quiet mind. It means a mind that has the space to think about. So anyway, this is a side thing. So renunciation in meditation just means giving up everything and staying I remember a book that I read many years ago. It's a magnificent book. It's called The Cloud of Unknowing. It's a book written by, a person is known as an anonymous English monk. Nobody knows who this person is. That's why it's called anonymous. But they know he was an English monk. And this English monk was talking about the naked I am. To find the naked I am. And that's what renunciation does. You let go, you keep letting go of things about you until you find in you this naked I am. And in that naked I am is what we find, what we are truly looking for. And the naked I am is the only thing that cannot go. Everything else can go. And so this will be a little bit the meditation. It will be very simple, but at the same time, because we are renouncing, it's going to be quite intense and maybe not so easy to apply. But so we are going to, very simply, we are going to connect to the body, and then we are going to somehow see that we are going to renounce the body. During the meditation only, we are going to renounce the body. And one way we can think of is somebody like Stephen Hawking, you know, the scientist. He was somebody that renounced his body, not intentionally, but he renounced his body, and it's obvious that he was still there. So the mind can exist without the body. But then we are also going to renounce the mind. The mind, one way to think of the mind is as the thoughts, the emotions, but also the roles. we're going to renounce the roles to try to find this naked I am. And then we're going to stay there. Just stay there. So that will be the meditation. Before we start, do you have any questions about what I just said? I hope it's not too early for this introduction. Okay. So just find a comfortable position. Remember, try to keep your spine long. That's what is important. Doesn't matter if you sit on the floor, if you sit on a sofa, just try to have your spine long. Open the chest, relax the shoulders. Close your eyes. Put your hands in a comfortable place. Try to find a comfortable place and try to keep them there. Try within your possibilities. Don't let the hands move too much around. Or the fingers. Try to keep the fingers without moving throughout the meditation. Start to hear the sounds around you. Don't get too lost in the sounds. Just simply hear the sounds and let them come in into yourself. It's like instead of you going out into the sounds, let the sounds come to you. And then try not to describe the sounds in your mind. Just hear the sounds, but don't describe the sounds. It's like if you suddenly becomes a little baby, and this baby can hear all the sounds, but it doesn't know what they are. But the baby hears exactly the same sound, but it doesn't know that it is a car. So just for a moment, become that baby. And hear the sounds, but don't put a label, don't put a name on them. Putting names is only a habit. It's not a necessity. It's a habit based on the necessity of practical life. But it's not a necessity for existence. You can hear the sounds without labeling them and still be there. Like a baby is there. already there. There is a renunciation. There is this habit to name everything that we experience. But try to renounce for a moment that need, that habit, that impulse that comes to you to name the sounds that you hear. And notice that you don't disappear just because you do that. It is true that practical life cannot happen if you renounce the names of the sounds. For practical life, the names of the sounds are absolutely necessary, completely necessary. But to discover this naked I am, this sense of being without anything else, naked, you don't need to put names into the sounds. You can renounce them. It is very strange to be alive without thinking about what you experience. It's very strange. It's a very strange state of being. Because it feels, or it could feel, kind of empty. Because the naming gives a certain color to our experience. Start to connect to your breathing. Connect to the air coming in and the air going out. Just simply notice the breathing. Try not to control the breath. Controlling the breath is a possibility that we have. We can decide to control the breathing. But right now, we are not going to control the breath. So instead, just let the air happen on its own. See that, try to see little by little that even if you choose not to breathe anyway, you will not be able, even if you want to, you will not be able to stop breathing. So start to connect to this power of breath, which is a power in your body, which is breathing on its own, without your will, without your decision. Start to connect to that possibility of recognizing this power in us, in this body. And so we can say, renounce your will to breathe. Renounce your decision to breathe. Let the breath happen on its own, or realize that the breath is happening on its own. You don't need to be involved in breathing for breathing to happen. Breathing can happen on its own. Is happening on its own. And one more thing about the breath. I want you to use the breath as the anchor to always come back to it when you get lost, in whatever you get lost. You can get lost on your thoughts, you can get lost on a sound, you can get lost on something. The moment you realize that you're getting lost, simply come back to the breath. Then, from the breath, when you are more in the moment, then go to the idea of renunciation. But first, spend at least a few seconds connected to your breathing. So always return to the breath. And if the whole meditation is nothing but connecting to the breath, that is a wonderful meditation. Connecting to the breath is a way to calm the mind. Remember, I am talking from the point of view that we already have our minds calm. And probably that's not the case. And that's okay, that's perfectly right. That's why keep returning to the breath. And in your daily practice, I will recommend you doing a lot of meditations that are just simply connected to the breath, simply following the breathing. The air coming in, the air going out. The air coming in, the air going out. You can even say in your mind, when you inhale, I am breathing, I am inhaling. When you exhale, you can say, I am exhaling. And then again, I am inhaling. And again, I am exhaling. And that in itself can be your meditation. When you're more stabilized in that connection with the breathing, let go of the breath. Let it go. Once you are stabilized in that, if you are not, stay there. Once you are more stabilized in that breath, then renounce it. Let it go. Like if it's not yours, like if it is not you breathing, but it's the power in you that is breathing for you. You're truly independent of breathing. There is a verse in a very old writing in India that says, I live without breathing. Come back to the sounds. Hear the sounds, but don't put a label on the sounds. If you really don't put a label on the sounds really seems to be something like clouds, and you are the sky. When you name the sounds become part of you. But when you can hear the sound without labeling it, then it's like the sound stays there, stays in front of you, but it doesn't really become you. When you need to, come back to the breath. Come back to the breath. That's all you need. Keep your eyes closed and just simply breathe. If you need to. If you feel that your mind is too agitated, if you feel that you feel impatient, if you feel that, if you have, then just simply breathe. Just simply breathe. Just simply breathe. If some of you, if some of you feel more stabilized in that, then renounce the breathing and renounce naming the sounds. Otherwise, stay in the breathing. There is nowhere to go. It's quite the opposite. There is nowhere to go. It's all about staying. It's all about remaining. It's all about being. Now, we're going to go a little bit to the thoughts. It's very easy for us to get lost in our thoughts. Our thoughts means we get lost in different roles in our life. Most people get lost in the role of the work that they do. We need to make money, and so we have different roles, we have different work that we do. We can be a teacher, or we can be a tech person working in computers, or we can be there are many things that we can be in life. These are roles. Just for a moment, give up that role. It's like if right now, during this meditation, you're not that role. You give it up. In your mind, you give it up. You said, I renounce. Maybe you're a mother or a father or even a son or a daughter. Just for a moment, stop being a mother. Stop being a father. In your mind, stop being a son. Stop being a daughter. Just for a moment, renounce that. In your mind, in your understanding, renounce it. See what's left. If you're not a mother anymore, if you're not a father anymore, if you're not a son or a daughter, what remains? What remains? Remember, if what I'm saying it feels too far away for you, don't worry for it. Simply come back to the breathing and stay there in the breath. Just simply let the air come in, let the air go out. Focus on that. Once you stabilize in the breathing, then see if you can start to renounce the breath itself. Now, you're meditating, and that's something that is in your mind. You're trying to meditate. See what happens if you renounce the meditation. Just don't meditate anymore. In your mind. Meditation is a role. I am a meditator. Let it go for a moment. Just stop. Don't meditate. What's left? What remains? There is a nakedness there. There is an immense opening. But even these are words. Renounce these words. There is a beingness there. But even to say a beingness, that's also a word. Renounce that word. Give it up. What remains? You could say there is a silence there, but that's also a word. That's also a landscape. Renounce that word, renounce that landscape. What remains? We're going to stay here only for 1 more minute. But even if I said that, for the next minute, see what it means to renounce time. Don't wait for that 1 minute to pass. Time is a thought in the mind. Time depends on the mind. Time is the way that the mind works. Time is not really in nature. Time is only in the mind. What remains? And just very slowly, allow more air to come in, more air to go out. Start to move your hands, start to move your arms. Very gently start to stretch your body. When you're ready, open your eyes, move your head, stretch a bit your body. We have a few moments. Do you have any comments or questions you would like to make about what we said or what we did? You can either write it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and tell me. I am recording this, but you will not appear in the recording. I mean, if you speak, your voice will appear, but your face will not, just in case.
Carlos, could you repeat the name of the book that you mentioned at the beginning?
Yes, the book is called The Cloud of Unknowing. It's written in the Middle Ages. It's a very Christian book, but nothing to do with the Christianity of the church. It's a very fascinating, amazing, beautiful book. I would like one day to make a presentation on it. There was a few moments, for a while, I was very much, very attracted to it. I was very much into it. I devoured that book, and I learned a lot from it. There was a moment that I was quite, I had a lot of spirit. The book brought me out of that suffering. Anyway, it's a very particular, I found later on, I found things that are more clear and more easy to understand and to take. But for a while, that book really was a very important part of my life. He said that the cloud of unknowing is a cloud that separates us from God. He speaks a lot about God in there. And the whole aim of this book is to reach God. Anyway.
Do you hear me, Carlos?
Yes, hello, Camilla. Nice to hear you.
Do you see me?
No.
Oh, sorry, I am at the seaside on the beach.
Nice.
Very nice. And the meditation about sounds here are very rich sounds.
Wonderful, wonderful, Camilla. Very nice to hear you. And to know that you're there.
Yes, really don't see me. I don't know why I didn't discover the problem yet. Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Carlos, I have a technical question that when you put all the things on YouTube, it was really easy to redo it. And how can I find it on Zoom, or it's also to find on YouTube later?
I will put it in YouTube.
Okay. Okay.
So you will find it in YouTube, in my channel. The last meditation also is there.
Okay.
The one we did last week about peace is also there.
Okay. Perfect.
We'll put it today or tomorrow, this meditation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I mean, I think it's wonderful to listen to it again, but I feel that the power to be alive in the moment.
Yeah.
Because then when you do it later on, it helps very much that you did it live, because the power of life is very different to be in the moment than to hear the recording.
Yeah, but it all sometimes when you had a pause or you didn't do yoga, it was really nice to go back to take the habit. Or sometimes also it's difficult because in Switzerland it's 8:30 now, and sometimes I cannot not join, and then yeah, it's nice to do it maybe.
Sure, of course, of course. No, no, yeah, that's why I put it in YouTube. Where are you, Sibyl?
In Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Back in Switzerland.
Okay, so okay, so very nice to have you here. And as I said to Sibyl, I will put the recording in YouTube today or tomorrow. And in the evening, we will have the evening with presence, which we will talk also about three, how do I call them? Three tools, I don't know how I call them, but one of them is related to renunciation.
Ah, okay.
But I will go deeper into the idea.
And another question, I mean, on your birthday, you had a really nice meditation. I couldn't find it because I lost the, when was it?
Also in YouTube, and you can find it as Who Am I?
Who am I? Okay. Yeah.
Who am I?
Okay. Thank you.
Just put my name and Who Am I, and it should appear.
Okay.
Not this in my, but for sure it's in my channel. It was on the 6th of June.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, and have a very good day, and maybe see you tonight, some of you.
Thank you, Carlos. Have a nice day. Hello.